Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to solve the second version of my predicted paper for 4MA1 2H IGCSE Edexcel Maths. So this contains all of the topics that did not come in paper 1. I've already made another version for my predicted topics for paper 2, and you can access that at the link above. And I've added the Google Drive for all of the worksheets and practice questions I've created for your practice for paper 2, which you can access in the description below. So let's start with the questions. So first one says that show that 4 whole number 2 over 3 divided by 1 whole number 1 over 5 equals to 3 whole number 8 over 9. So we have a mixed number and we need to first convert this into an improper fraction to solve it. So to convert a mixed number into an improper fraction, we multiply the denominator by 4 and then add the result to the numerator. So 4 times 3 is 12 and 12 plus 2 is 14. So 14 over 3 divided by 5 times 1 is 5 plus 1, 6, 6 over 5. So now when we're dividing fractions, what we do is we take the reciprocal of the second fraction. When I say reciprocal, I mean we're flipping it. So 6 over 5 becomes 5 over 6 and division becomes multiplication. So 14 over 3 times 5 over 6, that's going to be 3, 7. I'm simplifying the fractions. 35 over 9. And when you divide 35 by 9, 9 threes are 27. 35 minus 27 is 8. So this is your whole number. This is your numerator. And this is the denominator. So it's going to be 3 whole number 8 over 9 as shown in the question. Then it says write 300 as a product of its prime factors. So we're going to break down 300 into its prime factors. So 300 can be broken down into 30 times 10. You can pick any factors. There's no restriction on that. 30 becomes 3 times 10 and 10 becomes 5 times 2. Since 3, 5 and 2 are prime numbers, so we cannot further break them down. Similarly, 10 becomes 5 and 2. So 300 can be rewritten as 2 square because we have 2 2's times 3 and then 5 square. So that's your answer. Then it says A equals to 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 5 and B is 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 5. We have to find the lowest common multiple of 5A and 7B. So 5A is going to look like 5 times all of this. So 2, 2, 2, then 3 times 3, and that's 5. And 7B is going to look like 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 5, and then times 7. So we have to find the lowest common multiple. So if we rewrite this in index form, that's 2 cube times 3 square times 5 square. And this in index form is 2 square times 3 cube times 5 and times 7. For the lowest common multiple, what we do is you pick the highest powers for the given bases. So if you look at the base of 2, highest power is 3. So we pick 2 cube. Then for the base of 3, highest power is 3. So we pick 3 cube. For 5, the highest power is 2. So we pick 5 square. And for 7, there's just 1 7. So we take it as it is. This is your LCM. We can rewrite this as the product of these numbers, which is going to give us 3,780. That is your answer. If they were talking about the highest common factor, then what you would do is you would pick the highest common powers. So for the highest common powers, If we look at 2, the highest common power is 2 square. So it would be 2 square. For 3, it would be 3 square. For 5, it would be 5. And 7 doesn't exist between A and B. It's just in B. So this would be your HCF. So if we compare LCM and HCF, for HCF, we look at the highest common powers. And for LCM, we look at the highest powers for each base. Then it says some members of a library were asked to name the type of book that they each like to read the best. One of the members is chosen at random. The table shows information about the probability of the type of book that this member answered. 48 members answered comedy books. Work out how many of these members answered mystery books. So for comedy, it's 48. So to find the value of x, what we're going to do is first we're going to add up these probabilities and put it equal to 1. 1 equals to 0.24 plus 0.40 plus 3x plus x. That's going to be 0.64 plus 4x. 1 minus 0.64 equals to 4x. So that's 0.36 equals to 4x. So 0.36 divided by 4, and that's going to be 0.09. That is x. So which means this is 0.09, and then 0.09 times 3, this is 0.27. 48 members chose comedy. We have to figure out how many members chose mystery. So if 0.24 represents 48 members, 1 would be 48 divided by 0.24. And for the mystery ones, which are 0.27, we would do 48 over 0.24 times 0.27. It's going to give us 54. So 54 people liked mystery books. Then it says Daniel, Gabrielle, and Hadley share some money in the ratio 3:5:9. The difference between the amount of money that Gabrielle receives and the amount of money that Hadley receives is 196 euros. Work out the amount of money that Daniel receives. So the difference between the amount of money that Gabrielle receives and the amount of money that Hadley receives is 196 euros. So if Gabrielle is 5x, Daniel is 3x, and Hadley is 9x. Difference between the amount of money that Gabrielle receives and the amount of money Hadley receives. So 9x minus 5x equals to 196. So that's 4x equals to 196. And x is going to be 196 divided by 4, which gives us 49. So how much does Daniel receive? That's going to be 3 times 49, which equals to 147. So 147 euros is your answer. Then it says expand and simplify 5 minus x times 2x plus 3 times x plus 4. So it's a triple bracket that we're expanding. Let's begin with expanding the first two brackets. So we have 5 bracket 2x plus 3 minus x bracket 2x plus 3. And this entire thing is being multiplied with x plus 4. So that's 10x plus 15 minus 2x squared minus 3x times x plus 4. That's negative 2x squared plus 7x plus 15 and x plus 4. Now we expand these brackets. So that's going to be negative 2x cubed, negative 8x squared plus 7x squared plus 28x plus 15x and then plus 16. So now we collect the like terms. Negative 2x cubed comes as it is. Negative 8x squared plus 7x squared is going to be negative x squared. 28x plus 15x is going to be 43x. And 60 comes as it is. And that's your expansion of the triple bracket. So remember, always expand two brackets first, and then whatever result you get, you multiply it with the third bracket. The next question they're asking us to make E the subject of W equals to root of E plus G divided by EF minus D. So currently W is the subject and they want E to be the subject. So for that, first let's get rid of the square root on the fraction. To get rid of the square root, what we do is we take the square on both sides. So that's W squared equals to E plus G over EF minus D. Now we cross multiply to get rid of the fraction. So W squared times EF minus D equals to E plus G. Expand the bracket. EF W squared minus D W squared equals to E plus G. Since we have to make E the subject of the formula, let's collect all of the terms with E on one side. So EF W squared minus E equals to G plus D W squared. Now we take E common on the left hand side. So that's going to give us E bracket F W squared minus 1 equals to G plus D W squared. Now if you notice, compared to the original equation and this one, we have E only once now, whereas in the original equation, E existed twice. So the main goal behind rearranging this was to make sure that E was existing only once, so you can easily make it the subject. So now E would be G plus D W squared divided by F W squared minus 1. That's your answer. Then it says there are 5 cocoa pods in a bag. The mean weight of the 5 cocoa pods is 398 grams. A 6th cocoa pod is put into the bag. The mean weight of the 6 cocoa pods is 401 grams. Work out the weight of the 6th cocoa pod that is put into the bag. So for 5 cocoa pods, the weight is 398. So sum of weight for the 5 cocoa pods divided by the number of cocoa pods, which is 5, equals to 398. This is your mean weight. So sum is going to be 398 multiplied by 5, which gives us 1,990 grams. Then we do the same thing for the 6 cocoa pods. So sum of weight for the 6 cocoa pods divided by 6 equals to 401, which means for the sum of weight for the 6 cocoa pods, that's going to be 401 times 6, which equals 2,406 grams. So we have to work out the weight of the 6th cocoa pod. So for that, we subtract these two. So weight of the 6th pod would be 2,406 minus 1,990, which gives us 416 grams. That is your weight of the 6th cocoa pod. Then it says factorize fully 25a to the power 4 c to the power of 7 times d plus 45a to the power of 9 c cube h. So in these type of questions, what you need to do is you need to first identify what is common between both the terms. We have an a, we have a c, and that's it. Now for the coefficients, 25 and 45 both come in the 5 times table, which means we can first begin with taking 5 common. And for the a, it's a to the power of 4 and a to the power of 9. Remember, a to the power of 9 can be split into a to the power of 4 times a to the power of 5. And over here, c to the power of 7 can be split into c to the power of 3 times c to the power of 4. So it's clear that we have c cube common and we have a to the power of 4 common for the variables. So a to the power of 4 and c cube bracket 25 divided by 5 is 5. A cancels out and c to the power of 7 becomes c to the power of 4 and d comes as it is. Similarly, 45 divided by 5 is 9. A to the power of 9 has a to the power of 5 left because we just took a to the power of 4 common outside. C cube is also common and so we're left with h. So this is your fully factorized answer. Make sure that you're factorizing the variables and the coefficient, not one thing. Then it says the region R shown here in the diagram is bounded by 3 straight lines. Write down the 3 inequalities that define R. So first, let's begin with the horizontal line. You can clearly see that's passing through y equals to -3. So for the inequality, we can see that we've shaded the area above the line. So above the line means that the values of y are increasing. So y is greater than equal to -3. They've already given us one line, so that's y equals to 2x plus 2. So for this, if you notice, they have shaded the region underneath the line. And underneath the line, values of y are decreasing, which means this one is going to be y is less than equal to 2x plus 2. For the third line, first we need to make an equation for the line. For the equation, what we can do is we can pick 2 points on the graph. Make sure that those 2 points are whole numbers. So we can say that we have this point, which is y equals to 1. And then we have this point, which is x equals to 1. Yeah. So 2 points, 1, 0 and 0, 1. So if you look at this slope, our rise over run is going to be, rise is by 1 unit and run is by also 1 unit, but it's -1. So our slope is -1. You can also use the y2 minus y1 formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's 1 minus 0 over 0 minus 1, which is also -1. Y-intercept is this. So that means your equation is going to be y equals to -x plus 1. Now for the inequality part, we can see that we have shaded the region underneath the line. So like we said before, underneath the line is going to be less than. So y is less than equal to -x plus 1. So for our inequalities, y is less than equal to -x plus 1. Y is greater than equal to -3. And y is less than equal to 2x plus 2. These are your final inequalities. In the case they had given us dotted lines for the graph, like this, then you don't use the equal to sign. It's either greater than or less than. If it's a solid line, it's greater than equal to or less than equal to, depending on which area is shaded. Then it says change the speed of 50 meters per second to speed in kilometers per hour. 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. 1 hour is 3,600 seconds. So we're going from meter per second to kilometers per hour. So that's going to be 50 divided by 1,000 and then times it by 3,600. So that's 5 times 3 to 6. And that gives us 180 kilometers per hour. When you go from a smaller to a bigger unit, we divide. So basically, we were doing 50 over 1,000 for the kilometers. And then, since it's per hour, so we're dividing it by 3,600 because 1 hour equals to 3,600 seconds. So this then becomes 50 over 1,000 times 3,600. And that's 180 kilometers per hour. Straight line L has gradient 5 and passes through the point with coordinate 0, -3. Write down an equation for L. So they've given the gradient and they've given us the y-intercept. Y-intercept is that point where x is equal to 0. Always. And for the x-intercept, y is always 0. So y equals to mx plus c is our equation for the slope-intercept form. M is 5 and c is -3. So this is your equation. Easy 2 marks. Then since the diagram shows an isosceles triangle, work out the area of the triangle. So for the area of the triangle, we need the height because right now they've only given us the base. So there are 2 ways of solving this question. One way is that we can use SOHCAHTOA and Pythagoras to find the height, and then use that to find the area of the triangle. And the alternate way is that we can use the cosine rule to find this angle, and then use the sine formula for area to find the area of the triangle. So whichever way you're comfortable with, you can solve it. I'll show you both ways. So for method 1, what we do is we split it into 2 equal triangles. So this becomes 4 and this becomes 4. It's a right angle triangle now, so we're going to find the height using Pythagoras. So 8.5 squared equals to 4 squared plus 8 squared. In Pythagoras, it's hypotenuse squared equals to adjacent square plus opposite square. So 8.5 squared minus 4 squared equals to 8 squared, which is going to be 56.25. Then we take the square root on both sides. That's 7.5 centimeters for the height. Now that we have the height, we can easily use the area of the triangle formula, which is 1 over 2 times the base times the height. Base is 8, height is 7.5 times 1 over 2, which is going to give us 30 centimeters square. That was the first method. For method 2, we use the cosine rule. So we have all 3 lengths. So we can say that angle, this is the angle that we're trying to find, by the way. So cos theta would equal to 8.5 squared plus 8.5 squared minus 8 squared divided by 2 times 8.5 times 8.5. If you look at the formula sheet, they've given us the cosine rule in this. So what you can do is you can just rearrange that rule and make cos theta the subject to find the angle. It's the same rule, but we just rearrange the values. So cos theta is going to equal to 8.5 squared plus 8.5 squared minus 8 squared. So that's 80.5 divided by 8.5 times 8.5 times 2. That's 144.5. Theta is going to be cos inverse of this fraction. So that's going to give us the 6.14. Then for the area, you would do 1 over 2 AB sine C. This formula is also given in the formula sheet. So our A and B values are 8.5. So for this formula, you need two lengths and the angle between them. So 1 over 2 times 8.5 times 8.5 times sine of 56.14. And that gives us 29.9, which rounds up to 30 centimeters square as well. So both ways give the same answer. You pick the one that's most suitable to you. Then it says the diagram shows a rectangle. The area of the rectangle is a centimeter square. Given that a is less than 3x plus 27, find the range of possible values for x. So we know area is length times width. This is your length, this is your width. So a is equal to 2x minus 4 times 3x plus 2. Expand the bracket, 6x squared plus 4x minus 12x minus 8. Collect the like terms, 6x squared minus 8x minus 8. A is less than 3x plus 27, which means this expression is less than 3x plus 27. So 6x squared minus 8x minus 8 is less than 3x plus 27. Bring all of the terms on one side. So 6x squared minus 8x minus 3x minus 8 minus 27 is less than 0. So that's 6x squared minus 11x minus 35 is less than 0. So now let's factorize this quadratic inequality to find the range of values for x. We can use the quadratic formula or splitting the middle term, whatever works for you. I'm going to use the quadratic formula for this one. So x is equal to minus negative 11 plus minus root of negative 11 squared minus 4 times 6 times negative 35 over 2 times 6. In case you're someone who doesn't know how to use the quadratic formula, the quadratic formula is in terms of a, b, and c. A, b, and c are taken from your quadratic equation. Quadratic equation comes in the format of ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is your coefficient of x squared, b is the coefficient of x, and c is the constant. So based on our equation, a is 6, b is negative 11, and c is negative 35. Remember to include the sign with the number, don't just write the number. So going back to our quadratic equation over here, so it's 11 plus minus, let's solve the root. So that's 11 squared, which is 121, plus 4 times 6 times 35. That's 961. So root of 961 is 31. 11 plus minus 31 over 12. Split this into two fractions. In one fraction, it's 11 plus 31 over 12. And in the other, it's 11 minus 31 over 12. So 11 plus 31 over 12 gives us 3.5, but that's going to be 7 over 2. And this one is going to be 11 minus 31, which is negative 20 over 12, which simplifies to negative 5 over 3. So we can rewrite these as 2x minus 7 equals to 0 and 3x plus 5 equals to 0. Now, this basically becomes 2x minus 7 bracket 3x plus 5 less than 0. So remember, it was an inequality. And when your quadratic inequality is less than 0, that means if you draw a rough sketch, this is -5/3, this is 7/2. If it's less than 0, that means we look at the values underneath the x-axis. If it was greater than 0, then we look at the behavior of the x values above the x-axis. So since we're looking at the behavior below the x-axis, at x equals -5/3, our values are decreasing in the highlighted region. And at x equals to 7/2, our values are increasing. And since both the arrows are converging, that means it's going to be a joint inequality, which means x is less than 7/2, but it's greater than -5/3. That is how you write your answer for a quadratic inequality. But in our case, since x cannot be negative, because we're talking about the length of a rectangle. So now we need to check using this, which one would give us a value that will be less than 3x plus 27. So for that, so since we're getting -5/3 to 7/2, we know that x cannot be negative, which means the lowest value for x we can begin is from 0. So we put 0 in this. That gives us -8. Area cannot be negative. Then what we need to do is we need to go higher. If we put x equals to 1, that's going to be 6 minus 8 minus 8. That's again negative. That's -10. If we put x equals to 2, so 6 times 2 squared minus 8 times 2 minus 8. So that's going to be 24 minus 16 minus 8. That is 0. So at x equals 2, we're getting a value of 0, which means if we put 3, 6 times 3 squared minus 8 times 3, and then again minus 8, then we get 22 for 8. For x equals to 3, we're getting 22, which means our x has to be greater than 2. So for our final inequality, we will write, we'll write x is less than 7/2, but has to be greater than 2. Because at x equals to 2, we're getting an area of 0, and 0 cannot be the area. So greater than 2, what we get is x equals to 3, which gives us an area of 22. So x has to be greater than 2 and less than 7/2. Once again, our x value cannot be negative because we're talking about the length. And as you can see, if you put x equals to -5/3 in our measurements, we would get a negative value. And that's not possible because we're talking about the area of a rectangle. So what we do is we start with the positive values of x. We start with x equals to 0, that gives us negative area. X equals to 1 gives a negative area. X equals to 2, as you can see, gives us an area of 0. So after that, when you put x equals to 3, that gives us an area of 22, which is the first positive area, which means our x value has to be greater than 2, but less than 7/2, because that is your maximum limit for the values of x. Then it says M, N, and P are points in a circle with center O. MON is the diameter of the circle. MP is 3.5 centimeters. PN is 9.7 centimeters. Angle MPN is 90 degrees. Work out the circumference of the circle. Giving answer correct to 3 significant figures. So if MON is the diameter and this is a right angle triangle over here, they've given us two lengths, MP and PN. So we can easily use Pythagoras to find the length of MN, which is your diameter. And as we know, half of the diameter is your radius. We can easily use that to find circumference. So first, let's begin with finding MN. MN is your diameter, which is also the hypotenuse of this right angle triangle. So mn squared equals to mp squared plus pn squared. So mn squared is 3.5 squared plus 9.7 squared. That's going to give us 106.34. Now we square root both sides to give the value of mn, and that's going to be 10.31. Now for the circumference, the two formulas. Either you do 2 pi r, and since 2 times r is your diameter, we can directly multiply the diameter with pi as well. So since we have the diameter, we can do 10.31 times pi, and that's going to give us 32.4 centimeters as your circumference correct to 3 significant figures. Then it says write down an equation of a line that is parallel to the line with equation y equals to 7 minus 4x. So if two lines are parallel, that means the gradient of the first line equals to the gradient of the line it's parallel to. So if this line has an equation y equals to 7 minus 4x, so first rearrange it and write it as negative 4x plus 7y, because slope-intercept form is y equals to mx plus c. So a lot of kids get confused that, whatever the first number is, that's going to be the slope. So they will choose 7 as a slope, which is incorrect. Slope is always the coefficient of x. So we will pick negative 4 as the slope, not negative 4x as the slope, not 7 as the slope. 7 is your y-intercept, negative 4 is your slope. So m is negative 4 and y-intercept is 7. So we have to write an equation of a line that is parallel to this line. So as long as the equation has a gradient of negative 4, you can create any equation. It can be negative 4x, it can be y equals negative 4x plus 1, 2, 3, 4, anything, or minus something. But the gradient has to be the same. That is the important thing. Then it says the line L passes through the points with the coordinates negative 3, 1 and 2, negative 2. Find an equation of the line that is perpendicular to L and passes through the point with coordinates negative 6, 4. So now if two lines are perpendicular, that means they're meeting at a right angle. And then the product of the gradients will always equal to negative 1. That is the rule for perpendicular lines, and in parallel lines, both gradients are equal. So let's begin and find the gradient of the line L. Gradient of L, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is negative 2 minus 1 over 2 minus negative 3. Negative 3 over 5. So if m1 is negative 3 over 5, so m1 times m2 is negative 1. m2 is going to be negative 1 times negative 5 over 3, which is positive 5 over 3. We have the gradient for the line that is perpendicular to L. It's passing through negative 6, 4. So either you can use the slope-intercept form or the point-slope form to find the equation. I'm going to use the slope-intercept form. So y equals to mx plus c. Y is 4. M is 5 over 3 and x is negative 6. So 3 ones are 3. This is going to be negative 2. So 4 equals to negative 10 plus c. 4 plus 10 equals to c, which is 14. So y equals to 5 over 3x plus 14. We want the equation in ax plus by plus c equals to 0 form. So we times everything by 3 and then bring all the terms on one side. It's going to be 3y minus 5x minus 42 equals to 0. That is your final answer. The next question says that solve the simultaneous equations, which are 7x minus 2y equals 34 and 3x plus 5y equals to negative 3, show clear algebraic working. So this is the easiest simultaneous equations compared to quadratic ones. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that the coefficient of the variable that you want to eliminate is the same. I always suggest using elimination method for this, especially when all of the variables have a coefficient greater than 1. Because if you use substitution method for that, and when you're making the variable the subject, when you make it the subject, you get a fraction on the other side. And then using fractions of this can increase your chances of making an error. So let's stick to elimination and make it simpler. You can eliminate y or x, whichever you want to do. I would stick to using y. So to make the coefficients equal for y, I times the second equation by 2 and the first equation by 5. So that gives us 35x minus 10y equals to 170. Then 6x plus 10y equals to negative 6. Since I'm trying to eliminate y, I've made the coefficients equal, which are 10. And now next thing I need to do is I need to check the sign for y. As you can see for y, one is negative and the other is positive. So for us to get rid of y, we can add the two equations. So 35x plus 6x, negative 10y plus 10y is 0, and then 170 plus negative 6. So 35 plus 6 is 41x, and then 170 minus 6 is 164. So x is going to be 164 divided by 41, which gives us 4. Now to find the value of y, we can put x equals to 4 in either of the equations. You can use the new equations or the old ones. You will get the same answer from all of them. So if I pick the second equation, 3x plus 5y equals to negative 3, and put x equals to 4 in it, so that's 3 times 4 plus 5y equals to negative 3. That's 12 plus 5y equals to negative 3. 5y equals to negative 3 minus 12, negative 15. Y would be negative 15 divided by 5, which is negative 3. So when x is 4, y is negative 3, and that is your final answer. Then it says the cumulative frequency graph gives information about the weights in grams of 90 bags of sweets. So this is your graph. Find an estimate for the median height of the weights of these bags. So for the median height, we will divide 90 by 2, which is 45. So using the graph, we draw a line from 45 on the y-axis and see what we get for the x-axis. So 45 is going to come over here. And at this, we're getting 146. grams. Then Roberto sells the bags of sweets to raise money for charity. Bags with a weight greater than d grams are labeled large bags and sold for 3.75 euros each bag. The total amount of money received by selling all the large bags is 93.75 euros. Find the value of d. So bags with a weight greater than d grams are labeled large and are sold for 3.75 euros. So if each bag is sold for 3.75 euros and the total amount he's receiving is 93.75, let's find the number of bags first. So number of bags are going to be 93.75 divided by 3.75, which gives us 25 bags. So what we'll do is we'll go back to our graph. It was greater than d grams. So we do 90 minus 25 first, which gives us 65. So we draw a line at 65. And that's 151. So D is 151 because more than these bags between 90 to 60, which is 25, between 90 to 25. So between 90 to 65, which is your 25 bags, these weigh more than 151 grams, hence D is 151. So 151. Then it says 8 divided by 2 to the power of 7 equals to 2 to the power of n. Find the value of n. So in these type of questions, I strongly recommend that look at the basis for the powers. If your base is a prime factor, that means if any other exponent given in the question isn't in the same base, you can easily convert it into the same base because they will never give you a number which cannot be converted into the same base. The prime base over here is 2 for the exponent. So which means we can rewrite 8 as 2 cubed. So 2 cubed divided by 2 to the power of 7 equals to 2 to the power of n. Whenever we have similar bases being divided, we subtract the powers, which means 2 to the power of negative 4 is equal to 2 to the power of n, and negative 4 is the answer. Then it says 13 to the power of negative 6 times 4 times 13 to the power of 5 equals to 13 to the power of k. Whenever we have a power outside the bracket and inside the bracket, we multiply the powers. So it's 13 to the power of negative 6 times 4 first, which is 13 to the power of negative 24 times 13 to the power of 5. Now, whenever we have similar bases being multiplied, we add the powers. So 13 to the power of negative 24 plus 5 equals to 13 to the power of k, which is 13 to the power of negative 19 equals to 13 to the power of k. Now, when we have same bases existing alone on each side of the equal to sign, we can put the powers equal to each other, which means k is negative 19. So we use 3 rules in just one part of the question. Whenever there's a power inside the bracket and outside the bracket, the power gets multiplied. When the bases are same and being multiplied, we add the powers. And when the bases are same on both sides of the equal to sign and they're existing alone, you can put the powers equal to each other. Then the acceleration A of an object is given by A equals to V minus U over T, where V is 45.23 correct to 2 decimal places, U is 5.1 to correct to 2 decimal places, and T is 8.5 correct to 2 significant figures. By considering bounds, work out the value of A to a suitable degree of accuracy, show your working clearly, and give a reason for your answer. So first they want us to work out the bounds for A and then give a suitable answer for the value of A. So that means we need to work out the upper bound and the lower bound of A. So for the upper bound of A, that means we need the upper bound of V minus U and lower bound of T. For the upper bound of V minus U, that means we need upper bound of V and lower bound of U. Because upper bound minus lower bound would give us the upper bound in difference. And in division, for the upper bound, it's upper bound divided by the lower bound. So now, let's begin with finding the upper bound of V. So for upper bound of V is 45.23 correct to 2 decimal places. So if it's 2 decimal places, that means our degree of accuracy is 0.01. You divide your degree of accuracy by 2, which gives us 0.005. And for the upper bound, we will add the degree of accuracy to the given value for V. So 45.23 plus 0.005, which is 45.235. Now for the lower bound of U, degree of accuracy is again 2 decimal places. So 0.01 divided by 2 is 0.005. For lower bound, we will subtract 0.005 from 5.12, which is going to give us 5.115. Now for the lower bound of T, it says that 8.5 is correct to 2 significant figures. So for significant figures, what we need to see first is what is the second significant figure over here. Second significant figure is 5. Now we need to see what is the place value of 5. Place value of 5 is 0.1. So whatever the place value is, you divide the place value by 2, which gives us 0.05. And then for the lower bound, we do 8.5 minus 0.05, which is 8.45. Now this is for the upper bound of A. So if we calculate that over here, upper bound of A, that's going to be 45.235 minus 5.115 over 8.45. That's going to give us 4.747. Then for the lower bound of A now. So for the lower bound of A, we need lower bound for the numerator and upper bound for the denominator. So for the lower bound, that means we need lower bound of V and upper bound of U. So for lower bound of V, we use the same value 0.005, but now we subtract it from 45.23. 45.23 minus 0.005. That gives us 45.225. Then for the upper bound of U, same thing. We will now add 5.12 plus 0.005. That's going to be 5.125. And lastly, upper bound of T, which is going to be 8.5 plus 0.05. Which is 8.55. So lower bound of A is going to be 45.225 minus 5.125 divided by 8.55. That gives us 4.690. So now they want us to, by considering bounds, work out the value of A to a suitable degree of accuracy. Show your working clearly. Give a reason for your answer. So our value is going to be between 4.747 and 4.690. 4.747 and 4.690. So what we can say is that our value is 4.7. So that's your answer. Then it says prove that the difference between two consecutive square numbers is always an odd number. Show clear algebraic working. So you have to find the difference between two consecutive square numbers. So let's say the first number is n and the second number is n plus 1. So n plus 1 squared minus n squared, because difference between two consecutive square numbers. So we have to prove that this will always be odd. So if we expand the bracket, it's n plus 1 times n plus 1 minus n squared, which is n squared plus n plus 1 minus n squared. That's n squared plus 2n plus 1 minus n squared. N squared minus n squared is 0. 2n plus 1. As we know, anything multiplied by 2 is going to be even. So if we add 1 to even, it's going to be odd. So that's how we show that this is going to be an odd number. Then it says that A, B, C, and D are points on a circle with center O. AOD is the diameter of the circle. So this is the diameter. Angle CBD is 28. Angle BDA is 32. We have to find the size of angle BDC. So this angle. Give a reason for each stage of your working. So CD is this segment or chord. So angles in the same chord are equal. So if this is 28, this will also be 28. So firstly, CAD equals to 28. Because angles in the same segment are equal. Then if AOD is the diameter, that means angle C is going to be 90 degrees. So angle ACD is equal to 90 degrees because angles in a semicircle is 90 degrees. Angle in a semicircle is 90 degrees. Then we need to find this angle. Okay, so using the sum of angles of a triangle, you can find the total angle CDA. So for CDA, we do 180 minus 90 minus 28, which gives us 62. Reason is sum of angles in a triangle equal to 180 degrees. So we know that this entire angle is 62. And if this is 32, that means for BDC, we can do 62 minus 32. And that's 30 degrees. So that's your answer. Then it says A and B are two similar bases. The bases are such that surface area of base B is 25 over 64 times surface area of base A. And that volume of base A minus volume of base B is 541.8 centimeter cube. We have to calculate the volume of base B. So if surface area of over surface area of A is 25 over 64. If you remember, when you have similar shapes, the square of the ratio of their length is equal to the ratio of the surface area. So basically, HA over HB being squared would equal to surface area or area of A divided by the surface area of B. So isn't it the same thing? So that means this is, if we square root it, that's 5/8. So your height of ways A is 8 and ways B is 5 centimeters. So volume of ways A minus volume of ways B is 541.8. We have to find the volume of ways B. So what we can do next is that we can create an equation for the volume. As we know that height of A over height of B being cubed equals to volume of A divided by volume of B. Based on our equation over here, volume of A is basically 541.8 plus volume of B, if we make volume of phase A the subject. So if we use our height, which is 8 for A and 5 for B. So using our heights, height of A over height of B cube equals to volume of A divided by volume of B. Volume of A is 541.8 plus volume of B. So let's replace that with volume of B plus 541.8 divided by volume of B. Now, if you look at our equation, we just have one unknown, which is volume of B. So 8 cube is 512 and 5 cube is 125. That equals to volume of B plus 541.8 over volume of B, cross multiply. 512 times volume of B equals to 125 times volume of B plus 541.8. So that's 512 volume of B equals to 125 volume of B plus 541.8 times 125. That's 67,725. Bring the like terms on each side. So volume of B minus this equals to 67,725. So 512 minus 125, that's 387 times volume of B equals to 67,725. So for volume of B, we divide this by 387. And what we get is 67,725 divided by 387. That's 175 centimeter cube. That is the volume of ways B. So for this, you need to remember that for the surface area or area, you square the ratio of your lengths. And for the volume, you cube your ratio of the lengths and put it equal to the ratio of the corresponding volume. Then says the curve C has equation y equals to 4x cubed plus x squared minus 20x. We have to find the dy by dx. So simple differentiation in the first part. When you're differentiating any polynomial, what you do is you bring the power down, multiply it with the term, and then subtract 1 from the original power. So 3 times 4 times x to the power of 3 minus 1. Similarly, 2 comes down. So it's going to be x to the power of 2 minus 1. And then x has a power of 1. So 1 times 20 times x to the power of 1 minus 1. So that leaves us with 12x squared plus 2x minus 20. If we notice for the last term, 1 minus 1 is 0 and x to the power of 0 is 1. So we get a constant of 20. So 12x squared plus 2x minus 20 is your answer. Then find the x-coordinates of the points and see where the gradient is 4. So if the gradient is 4 and we have to find the x-coordinates, we're going to put our dy by dx equal to 4. Why? Because the main purpose behind finding the dy by dx is to find an equation that can help us in finding the gradient of the curve at any point. So 4 equals to 12x squared plus 2x minus 20. Bring the 4 to the other side. So 12x squared plus 2x minus 20 minus 4. That's 12x squared plus 2x minus 24. Now we solve this quadratic equation. We can see that we can divide all the terms by 2. So that's going to be 6x squared plus x minus 12. So now for this, I'm going to use the quadratic formula. X equals to -1 plus minus root of 1 squared minus 4 times 6 times -12. And then we divide this by 2 times 6. If you're confused about what I did in the quadratic formula, your A value is 6, which is the coefficient of x squared, B is the coefficient of x, and C is your constant. So we just substitute these in the formula, and this formula will be given to you in the formula sheet in case you don't know the formula. So that's -1 plus minus 1 plus 4 times 6 times 12 is 288 over 12. So 288 plus 1 is 289. And square root of 289 is 17. So we create two separate fractions for x. One is -1 minus 17 over 12. -18 over 12. Which simplifies to -6 over 4, which is -3 over 2. And the other one is -1 plus 17 over 12, which is 16 over 12. And that's going to be 4 over 3. So we have x equals to -3 over 2 and x equals to 4 over 3. These are your values of x at which the gradient is 4. Then there are 32 students in a class. In one term, these 32 students each took a test in maths, English, and French. 25 students passed the test in maths, 20 students passed the test in English, and 14 students passed the test in French. 18 students passed the test in maths and English, 11 passed the test in maths and French, 4 students failed all 3 tests, and X students passed all 3 tests. So there are 32 in total, and X passed all 3 tests, so that's going to be in the middle, the intersection of all 3 circles. 4 students failed all 3, so that's outside. 11 students passed the test in maths and French. So this is maths and French. So all of this is 11, which means this is going to be 11 minus x. Similarly, 14 students passed the French test. So this entire circle is 14. So 14 is going to be 11 minus x plus 2. Let's call this y plus y. So that's 14 equals to 13 plus y. So 14 minus 13 is y and 1. So only one person passed just French. So let's write this as 1. Then it says that 18 students passed tests in maths and English. So maths and English is all of this. So this is going to be 18 minus x. And then 14 students passed the test in French. We already covered that. 20 students passed the test in English. So this entire thing is 20. So we call this Z. 20 equals to 18 minus x plus 2 plus z. So that's 20 equals to 20 plus z, which means z is 0. So this is going to be 0 over here. Then 25 students passed the test in maths. So 25 equals to 3 plus 18 minus x plus 11 minus x. That's 25 equals to 3 plus 18 plus 11. That's 32 minus x. So x is going to be 32 minus 25, which equals to 7. Which means in the middle it's going to be 7. This is going to be 11 minus 7, which is 4. Then this is 18 minus 7, which is 11. And that is our entire Venn diagram with all of the values. Use all of the given information about the results of students who passed the test in maths to find the value of x, which we just did. That's x equals to 7. Then use your value of x to complete the Venn diagram to the number of students in each subset. So, like I said, this is 11, 7, 0, 4, 1, and this is 4 outside. So a student who passed the test in maths is chosen at random. Find the probability that this student failed the test in French. So this person is chosen from the set of maths. We have to find the probability that this student failed the test in French. That's going to be 11 plus 13. Because 4 and 7 did pass the French test, so it cannot be these people. So it has to be the 3 and 11. So 11 plus 3 over the sum of 4 plus 7 plus 11 plus 3, because we're taking that out of the math set. So that's 14 out of 25. So you have to be very careful about the wordings written in the question. If it says a person is chosen at random from the entire, class, let's say, then you would choose it from the entire box. But if it restricted to a specific set, which in this case was the number of students who passed the test of maths, so we look at the maths set, and then we see in that maths test which student failed French. So that was 3 and 11. These were the kids who failed French while passing maths. That's why it's 14 out of 25, and that's your answer. Then since the diagram shows a sphere of diameter x centimeters and a pyramid ABCDE with a horizontal rectangular base BCDE. The vertex A of the pyramid is vertically above the center O of the base, so that AB equals to AC equals to AD equals to AE. So these lengths are equal. BC is x centimeters, CD is 2x centimeters, and AO is 5x centimeters. The volume of the sphere is 288 pi centimeter cube. Calculate the surface area of the pyramid, giving the answer correct to the nearest centimeter square. So using the volume of the sphere, we can find what x is, because that's the only unknown. So volume of sphere is 4 over 3 pi r cube. So 288 pi is 4 over 3 pi times x over 2 cube. Why? Because if we look at the shape, x is the diameter. So if the diameter is x, radius is going to be x over 2. So 288 pi times 4 over 3 pi times x over 2 cube. So we know the pi would get cancelled out. So 288 times 3 over 4 equals to x cubed over 8. So if we simplify this, 288 divided by 4 is 72. 72 times 3, 216. Then again multiply that by 8. So that's 1,728 centimeters. So that's 1,728 equals to x cubed. To find the value of x, I will cube root both sides. So that is going to give us 12 centimeters for your x. So if the diameter is 12 centimeters, radius is 6 centimeters for the sphere. Now going back to our pyramid, we have to find the surface area of the pyramid. So if x is 12, this is 12, this is 24, and this is 60 centimeters. Because 5 times 12 and 2 times 12. So as you can see in the base, we have two separate measurements. One is 2x and the other is x. So if I want to find the height for the triangle ACD and ABE, this is my height for that. And then for the triangle ABC and AED, this is my other height. So they're both right angle triangles. Using Pythagoras, we can find the length of this height, and then use that to find the area of the triangles for the pyramid, and that will be further used to find the total surface area along with the base area. So let's first start with the blue triangle. So that one is 60 over here. This one is 6 and this one is h. So 60 squared plus 6 squared equals to h squared, which is 3600 plus 36 equals to h squared. 3636 square root to find the value of h, and that's going to be 60.299 centimeters. Now for the other triangle, it's going to be 12 over here and 60 over here. The reason why it's 12 over here, because if we look at this entire is 24. So this is 12 and this was 6. So 60 squared plus 12 squared equals to h squared. So that's going to be 3600 plus 144 equals to h squared. So 3600 plus 144 is 3744. Square root that to find the value of h. That's 61.188 centimeters. So now for the surface area of base, which was x times 2x, so 12 times 24, which equals 288 centimeters square. Area of two triangles, that's going to be 1 over 2 times 60.299, that's the height, times your base, which is going to be, for this it was, I think, 12. For this it's 24. 24 and then times 2 because they're two triangles. So that's 60.299 plus times 24. That is 1447.18. And then area of the other two triangles, that's 1 over 2 times 61.188 times 12 times 2, which is going to be 734.26 centimeters square. So for the total surface area, we're going to add up all of these values. So that's 288 plus 1447.18 plus 734.26, and that gives us 2469.4 rounded to the nearest whole number, I think, centimeter squared. So that's 2469 centimeters squared. That is your total surface area. Then this diagram shows the cuboid A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. For this cuboid, the length AB is to the length of BC is to the length of CF is 4:2:3. We have to calculate the size of the angle between AF and the plane ABCD. So this is AF. We have to calculate this angle basically. So what we will do is that the length of AB we can say is 4x, BC is 2x, and CF we can say is 3x. So this is 3x, this is 4x, and this is 2x. So using Pythagoras, we can find an expression for the length of AC, which would be in terms of x as well. So AC squared is going to be 4x squared plus 2x squared, which is going to be 16x squared plus 4x squared, which is 20x squared. AC is root of 20x squared is going to be 2x root 5. That is AC. Then 2x root 5, you have to find the angle. So we have opposite, which is 3x, adjacent is 2x plus 5. So tan theta equals to opposite over adjacent. The x gets cancelled out. So it's tan theta equals to 3 over 2 root 5. Theta would be tan inverse of 3 over 2 root 5, which gives us 33.85. So correct to 1 decimal is going to be 33.9 degrees. That is your final answer. So don't get scared by, that they only give a ratio, they didn't give any lengths. You can just assume that AB is 4x, BC is 2x, and CF is 3x. And then using that, you can see we created an expression for AC as well. And when you put in SOHCAHTOA, we can easily cancel out the x and we have numbers left. And using that, we can find the value of the angle very easily. Since there's a particle P is moving along a straight line that passes the fixed point O, the displacement s meters of P from O at time t seconds is given by s equals to t cubed minus 6t squared plus 5t minus 4. Find the value of t for which the acceleration of P is 3 meters per second. So you need to know that when you differentiate displacement, you get velocity. And when you differentiate velocity, you get acceleration. Why? Because if you've done like kinematics graphs in physics, let's say, so when you have a distance time graph, the slope of the distance times graph gives you velocity. And if you have a velocity time graph, slope of the velocity time graph gives you acceleration. So this is the same thing over here. When you differentiate a displacement function, differentiation means that you're trying to find the gradient, rate of change of y with respect to the rate of change of x of that equation. So gradient of displacement is velocity and gradient of velocity is acceleration. So that's why ds over dt is velocity and d over dt is acceleration. Now, they told us that displacement function is this. We have to find the value of t when acceleration is this. So let's find the velocity function first. So ds over dt is going to be 3t squared minus 12t plus 5. Now we differentiate this again to find the acceleration function. So dv over dt is going to be 6t minus 12. They want the value of time when acceleration is 3. So you put the function equal to 3 for dv over dt. Make t the subject. So that's 15 equals to 60. So 15 divided by 6 is t, which is going to give us 2.5 seconds. That's the value of t. Then it says express 4 over 2x minus 5 minus 3 over 2x minus 3 divided by 9x minus 4x cubed over 6x squared minus 17x plus 5. So in algebraic fractions, remember, two rules will be very commonly used. One rule is to how to factorize a quadratic equation. You can use splitting the middle term or the quadratic formula. And the other rule is difference of perfect squares. These two will always appear in your algebraic fraction question. And apart from that, we need to know how to add or subtract fractions with unlike denominators, how to divide fractions, and how to multiply fractions. So first, let's solve the first bracket. So we have two fractions with unlike denominators being subtracted. So first, what we need to do is we need to make the fractions have the same denominator. So we can times the first fraction by 2x minus 3 and the second fraction by 2x minus 5. So that's going to give us 4 times 2x minus 5 over 2x minus 5 times 2x minus 3 minus 3 times 2x minus 5 over 2x minus 5 times 2x minus 3. And this is divided by 9x minus 4x cubed over 6x squared minus 17x plus 5. If we look at the second fraction, you must be noticing that in the numerator we have x common. So let's take that x common. So that's going to be x bracket 9 minus 4x squared. Now, if you highlight this, we can see that this is difference of perfect squares. A squared minus b squared, which is equal to a minus b times a plus b. Whereas in the denominator, we have a quadratic equation, which you will factorize using a quadratic formula or splitting the middle term. So the first fraction, let's expand that. 8x minus 20 minus 6x plus 15. Please make sure that you're taking the negative sign with 3. It's negative 3 now. So negative 3 times 2x and negative 3 times negative 5. And over here we have 2x minus 5 times 2x minus 3. I'm not expanding these brackets because we're trying to simplify it. So there's no point in expanding the bracket if they want the simplified version, because then you'll have to again, simplify those brackets. So let's stick to brackets. And over here we have divided by x bracket 9 minus 4x squared. So let's rewrite this as 3 minus 2x times 3 plus 2x. I use difference of perfect square, where like I highlighted before that it's a squared minus b squared. So a is 3, b is 2x. So 3 minus 2x times 3 plus 2x. Okay, like the lichens over here, so that's 2x minus 5 over 2x minus 5 times 2x minus 3 divided by x times 3 minus 2x, 3 plus 2x, and now 6x squared minus 17x plus 5. Next, what we need to do is we need to factorize this quadratic equation. If we want, you can start simplifying right now as well. As you can see that this is getting cancelled out. So 1 over 2x minus 3 divided by x times 3 minus 2x times 3 plus 2x over 6x squared minus 17x plus 5. Okay, now let's factorize this quadratic equation now. So 6 times 5 is 30. Factors of 30 are 30 and 1, 15 and 2, 6 and 5, 15 and we've already done the 15 and 2. So we can easily see that we can use 15 and 2 because 15 plus 2 is 17. So 1 over 2x minus 3 divided by x times 3 minus 2x times 3 plus 2x, 6x squared minus 15x minus 2x plus 5. We replace the middle term with the factors. Now we split it into two groups and factorize those two groups separately. So when you factorize them, what you should get is 3 is common over here. Sorry, 3x is common over here. So that's 2x minus 5. And negative 1 is common. So 2x minus 5. Between 3x and negative 1, 2x minus 5 is common. So 2x minus 5 times 3x minus 1. So if we flip this fraction, because when you're dividing fractions, you take the reciprocal of the second fraction and choose the division into multiplication. So it's 2x minus 5 times 3x minus 1 over here. And next times 3 minus 2x times 3 plus 2x over here. Let's see if we can simplify anything else.
Oh.
That's a 3. Wait. Sorry, this is a 3. So that's going to be 12. Is going to leave us with a 3 over here. So this doesn't get cancelled out. So let me fix that. So that leaves us with x minus 3 over here. Plus 3 over here, sorry. Plus 3. And this is going to be 2x minus 5 times 2x minus 3. Change that. That's 2x plus 3, 2x minus 5 times 2x plus 3 minus 3. Sorry for mixing that up. This shows that the chances of making error in these questions is so high, even though it's really easy to solve. But when you have so many expressions and you're trying to simplify it, you can easily mix up one value. So that's 2x plus 3 over here and 2x minus 5 times 2x minus 3. Okay, now let's cancel these out. So this goes away with this. This goes away with this. So we have 3x minus 1 over x times 3 minus 2x times 2x minus 3. Yep. This is your final answer. And this is the functions f and g are such that f of x equal to x squared minus 2x and g of x equals to x plus 3. the function h is such that h of x is f of gx for x greater than or equal to -2. Express the inverse functions h inverse x in the form of h inverse of x equals to. So let's first make the composite function f of gx. F of gx means that we're substituting g of x in f of x. So x will be replaced by x plus 3 in f of x. X plus 3 whole square minus 2 times x plus 3. As you can see, wherever there was x in f of x, we replaced it with g of x, because g of x is the new domain of f of x. Expand the bracket. X plus 3 times x plus 3 minus 2x minus 6. That's x squared plus 6x plus 9. That is x squared plus 4x plus 3. Now, we will do completing square form on this because you cannot find the inverse of a quadratic function without using completing square form. So, h of x is x squared plus 4x plus 3. So, for completing square form, first you need to check whether the coefficient of x squared is 1 or not. In this case, it's the coefficient of x squared is 1. So, we can easily move on to the next step. Next step is to remember that you're completing this square. A complete square is a plus b whole square, which expands to a square plus 2ab plus b square. Over here, we have our a square, which is x square. We have our 2ab, which is 4x. What we need to find is our b square. So we can put 4x equal to 2ab. Since a is x, so it's going to be 2xb. And 4x divided by 2x equals to b, which means 2 is the value of b. So to complete the square, what we do is we will add plus 2 square, but we will also minus 2 square. The reason for subtracting 2 square is because we're introducing a new term in the equation, which is plus 2 square. So if you're adding something new, we're supposed to subtract it as well. Which is very similar to the fraction questions when you are, making the denominator same for adding or subtracting fractions. If you multiply something with the denominator, you do the same with the numerator as well. So same logic over here. So now it's going to be x plus 2 whole square, because this is our complete square. A is x and b is 2. And this negative 2 square is outside the bracket as -4. And x plus 2 whole square minus 1 is our function in complete square form. Now we need to use this to find the inverse. So replace h of x with y. So y equals to x plus 2 whole square minus 1. Right now, y is the subject of the equation. We need to make x the subject. So let's move everything on the left-hand side except for x. So y plus 1 equals to x plus 2 whole square. Square root both sides. So plus minus root of y plus 1 equals to x plus 2. -2 plus minus root of y plus 1 equals to x. So we are saying right now that h inverse x is -2 plus minus root of x plus 1. Now if we go back to the question, there was one thing that we still haven't used. This thing. This is very important. So the function h is such that h of x equals to f of gx for x greater than or equal to -2. If for your original equation, your domain is x is greater than or equal to -2, then for your inverse function, your range is going to be greater than or equal to -2. Since the inverse is the opposite of the original function, that means whatever is the domain of the original function, that becomes the range of the inverse function and vice versa. So whatever was the domain of the inverse would be the range of the original. So keeping that in mind, our inverse function has to be greater than -2. So if it has to be greater than or equal to -2, greater than or equal to -2 would be -2 plus root of x plus 1. minus root of x plus 1 would give us a value that's less than -2. Hence, this is your final inverse equation. The Nissa's diagram shows a regular octagon A, B, C, D, H, I, J, K and a pentagon D, E, F, G, H. Angle GHT is equal to angle FGH. Work out the size of the angle marked X. So they have already given us three interior angles of the pentagon. Notice that the octagon is regular, but the pentagon isn't. But in the pentagon, they're saying that these two angles are equal. So if we call this Y, this is also Y. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So if n is 5, we can use this to find the sum of interior angles for the pentagon. So sum of interior angles is going to be n minus 2 times 180, which is 5 minus 2 times 180. That gives us 3 times 180, which is 540 degrees. Now, we can subtract these three angles to find the value of y. So, y is going to be 540 minus 102 minus 112 minus 96 and then divided by 2. The reason why we're dividing by 2 is because there are two y's. So to find the value of y, we divide the difference by 2. So 540 minus 102 minus 112 minus 96, 230 over 2, which gives us 115 degrees. So this is 115. So it said that this is a regular octagon. So this has 8 sides. So we can use the interior angle formula to figure out the value of each interior angle for the octagon because we do have the number of sides. So now for the octagon, n is 8. Each interior angle is n minus 2 times 180 over n. The difference between the sum and each formula is for each interior angle we divided by the number of sides, whereas in the sum we don't. So 8 minus 2 times 180 over 8. That's going to give us 135 degrees. So that means this angle over here is 135 as well as this, and all of these, they're the same. So this is a complete circle. So we know angles around a point add up to 360. So 360 equals to 135 plus 115 plus x. So x is going to be the difference of 360, 135, and 115, which gives us 110 degrees as the value of x, and that is your final answer. With that, we're done with the second version of paper 2H. If you have any questions regarding any of these, please leave a comment below. I have attached a Google Drive link in the description of my channel and in the description of this video as well. Please go to that. There's several questions over there about like difficult topics like perpendicular and parallel lines, vectors, sets and Venn diagrams, differentiation, kinematics. Go through those. I've attached the marking schemes as well. I've attached separate videos for each as well, which you can find on my channel in the playlist for the IGCSE Edexcel for MA1. That's it. So if you have any questions, please ask me. And I hope this helps you in preparing for your exam. So best of luck.